You know we love spooky things. This is why we fell in love with Michigan-based Lynn B Designs. When I popped the pumpkin spice all the things wax melt into my burner, my home was filled with the delicious buttery scent. Plus, there's the wide variety of gorgeous nail polishes with themes like Hocus Pocus and Pleasant Peninsula. All products are vegan and cruelty-free, and you can find monthly sales on Facebook and Instagram at Lynn B Designs. Head to lynbdesigns.store today. Again, that's LYNB designs.store.
We love them. We love you. It's great nail polish. It's the best I've ever used. Thanks.
Michiganders can be a superstitious bunch. We find all sorts of reasons to explain the world around us, sometimes pulling from science, sometimes tradition, and sometimes from our imaginations. What happens when we can't readily explain our experiences, and what happens when a ghost story gets out of hand? Do these legends stem entirely from fantasy, or are people seeing things no one can truly explain? I'm Krista K. Coburn.
And I'm Kay Gray. Welcome to Haunted Mitten.
Once upon a time, there lived a coureur de bois, a French-Canadian trader, named Jean Perron. After the deaths of his wife and all but one child, Jean moved with his daughter Geneviève to Grosse Pointe. Grosse Pointe? Whatever.
Whatever.
Geneviève was a sweet and gentle young woman who had set her heart on becoming a nun. She applied... Yeah.
For her. I'm sorry.
Remember, they're all Catholic. She applied to the Ursuline convent in Trois-Rivières, back in Quebec, where her aunt was the superior. Unfortunately, a man named Jacques Meron fell in love with Geneviève and wanted to marry her. When she refused him, he sought the service of a witch. Jacques agreed to sell his soul to the devil in exchange for the power to turn himself into a Loup Garou. By doing so, he hoped he would be able to carry away Geneviève. Literally carry away Geneviève. A humble shrine to Notre Dame de Bonsecours had been built in the forest, and Geneviève asked her father to help her build a similar altar to the Blessed Virgin along the beach where she placed a statue of Mary. When she learned that she was accepted to the convent in Trois-Rivières, it was first to the shrine in the forest that she went to pray. As she turned to carry on toward the beachside shrine, Jacques, in his Loup Garou guise, jumped out to grab her. But the cross which Geneviève held repelled him, giving Geneviève time to run toward the beach shrine. Barely able to outrun her pursuer, Geneviève fell at the feet of the statue of Mary and prayed for assistance. Her pleas were heard, and as the Loup Garou leapt to capture his prey, he was turned to stone. A stone that still sits harmlessly at the lakeside.
New idea. Copyright Haunted Mitten. I want to write a monster romance series for all of it.
Excellent.
I was like, oh shit, this would be really good.
It's a good story, right?
Oh my god. Copyright. We did it first. Copyright. It's mine. These are mine. This story is The Nun of St. Clair from Legends of Le Detroit, a compilation of folklore from the Detroit area put together by Marie Carolyn Watson Hamlin. Nice. That was published in 1883. This is the same book that contains the story of the infamous Nun Rouge, who may or may not have cursed the city of Detroit. I am on the side that it's not the Nun Rouge's fault that happened. And it is the first Michigan story about today's topic, the Loup Garou.
But it is not the only story. A perhaps more popular story is what Hamlin simply calls the Loup Garou, though you will also often hear it called the Loup Garou of Grosse Pointe. Who knew Grosse Pointe was such a magnet for legendary creatures?
Right? Didn't somebody capture like a quote-unquote Bigfoot on camera near there or something recently? Or was that where the kangaroo was?
Oh, I don't know. Could have been a Loup Garou.
Something happened there, I want to say, not that long ago.
Would not surprise me. Could have been a Loup Garou. So we'll read that story as well. Yeah, funnily enough, the previous one, even though there's a Loup Garou, even though it takes place at Grosse Pointe, is not called the Loup Garou of Grosse Pointe.
No. It's the other Loup Garou of Grosse
It's
Pointe.
it's the Nun of St. Clair. So it's the other one's a bit longer, but it also contains a bit more detail on a Loup Garou's behavior. By the way, I rewrote Hamlin's stories for this episode, so if you want to quote these much simplified versions of the original tales, please credit me. Thanks.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
It is actually copyrighted to me, so thanks.
All right, so this is what I'm about to read is the Loup Garou of Grosse Pointe. Unlike the other story, which was a completely different Loup Garou of Grosse Pointe.
Correct.
Infested. Okay. Long ago, in Grosse Pointe, there lived a French-Canadian trapper by the name of Simonet. When his wife died, Simonet was left to raise their daughter. I didn't look at this beforehand, so I'm going to screw up all these names.
I think it's Archange.
Archange. I was like, Archangel? What?
I kind of wonder if that's what it comes from.
Right. Like, is this just like, oh, we want our daughter to be holy, so we'll name her Christine. But
Yeah.
in this case, we want her to be named after angels, so
Yeah, this is not a name I've ever encountered before or since.
No. It also looks like Archange, and so I got brain paused. When his wife died, Simonet was left to raise their daughter Archange on his own, and he adored her. He taught her how to skin the animals that he brought home and how to cook. She learned to use the spinning wheel, sew socks, and weave hats from straw that she sold to the people of their small community. Archange was fashionable, a graceful dancer, and enchantingly beautiful with dark eyes and hair. She fell in love with a young farmer named Pierre Lafontaine, probably not the same car dealership owner, and he was her. Just gonna assume, but I don't know.
Maybe this is their ancestor.
Maybe this is their origin story. Simonet happily gave his blessing, and the pair was to marry. Pierre often took Archange out in his canoe, and the couple would talk excitedly about their upcoming wedding. He also began to build a cabin that they would live in after they were married. One evening, Archange was waving goodbye to Pierre as he paddled away in his canoe. As soon as he was out of sight, Archange was shocked by the sudden appearance of a large beast with a wolf's head and large, bushy tail. The creature stood erect like a man. Archange screamed, I'm not laughing. I'm not doing it. I'm an adult. Archange screamed, drawing the attention of her father. Simonet flew to the scene, but the creature had already disappeared into the woods. From Archange's description of the beast, Simonet recognized the monstrous Loup Garou. All his life, he had heard tales of the beast stealing children and luring young men into the forest. Later, the Loup Garou would be seen wearing these men's clothes, though the men themselves were never seen again. But the beast had a special fondness for young women, like beasts do, at least in all the stories that I read. Simonet recalled a story of a hunter who shot the beast with a bullet made from a silver coin, but rather than kill him, the special bullet only cut off the Loup Garou's tail. Soon it was the morning of the wedding. Archange went into the woods to gather flowers for her bouquet. Like an idiot, she knows what's in there. The Loup Garou once again surprised her, but this time he was dressed in the clothing of a gentleman, complete with hat and cane. His mannerisms made Archange laugh until the infatuated Loup Garou smiled at her. His sharp wolfish teeth frightened her, and she ran, arriving home just in time to close the cabin door against the pursuing creature. This is just the books that I read.
I'm telling you, these
just.
I know I've read so many things about like where that comes from.
Yeah.
And they're ancient stories.
Oh my gosh. This is what I read. Guys, this is what I read. Later that day, after Archange and Pierre were joined in holy matrimony by Father Frechet, which just looks like Freshet, a party commenced at the new cabin built by Pierre. It was there that the Loup Garou made his third appearance. The beast burst in, grabbed Archange, and ran off with her. Pierre and the other men pursued, but they could not catch the Loup Garou. Later that night, the men returned without Archange or Pierre. When Pierre was eventually found by his friends, he was wandering in the swamp, clutching a piece of Archange's wedding gown. As his friends questioned him, Pierre cried out and tried to throw himself into the swamp's deep waters. His friends stopped him. For a year, Pierre would return to the swamp and stare into its depths. After his sister was married, Pierre ran off into the forest, as if in repetition of what had happened at his own wedding. He was later found with torn clothes and wild eyes, chasing the Loup Garou to the edge of the lake. Although the people were terrified of the beast, the Loup Garou knew that he was trapped. When he raised his arms, a large fish rose from the lake's water, mouth wide open, and the Loup Garou vanished. You can still see the footprint of that Loup Garou left behind on the boulder upon which he stood before disappearing. Once located along the beach, the stone has been moved to the corner of Chalfonte. I don't know how they want to pronounce that.
I don't know.
And Kirby Roads. Chalfonte.
Yeah, French wants to say Chalfont, but I absolutely have no idea.
I don't know how I don't know how the good folks of Grosse Pointe say it now.
Nope.
See, but in the books that I read, that would have ended up a little thruple, and it would have been great.
You can rewrite this story. It's very much in the public domain at this point.
Yeah.
It is these are written down. They're over 100 years old. Well over 100 years. What, 140?
Yeah.
130, 140. But she just wrote them down. She didn't make them up.
Right. Yeah, she probably was just writing down the oral tradition that
right.
The community told.
And they're good stories. Like that one, obviously more detail, and I did have to condense it quite a bit because it's pretty lengthy. But it's a good story. Not nearly as happy an ending as Genevieve going off to become a nun, while the villain spends eternity as a rock.
You know, what are you gonna do?
But yeah, I feel like we should bring these stories back. They're great. They've got drama. They've got, fear, love. It's fantastic.
Yeah, this is essentially what I read.
Yeah, like you could turn that into anything you wanted, really. I mean, I don't think you'd have to change too much.
Yeah,
and it would people would love it.
Yeah, they would. Nobody take that from me. It's mine. Pointing at the camera, Patreon viewers.
Or if you take it, make it your own.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Make it your own. Yeah, because they're, like I said, they're good stories. So fun facts of the day, in which Krista gets to nerd out about language.
Go for it.
My favorite day. So Loup Garou is the masculine form. Loupgarou. Females are Loup Garou. Louve Garou.
Okay.
So we have Loup Garou is the boy, Loup Garou is the girl.
What does Louv mean?
It's just the feminine form of Lou.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of an older way of doing it. Similar to how we do like leaves.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It's kind of like that, but this is goes from a P to a VE. It's
right.
It's old-timey French. I don't know what to say.
No, that's fair. There's nothing else to say about it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just the feminization of Lou. So a female wolf kind of. We'll get into that. The words Loup and Garou both come from the Old French le, which means wolf, and Garoul, meaning werewolf. So yes, they are wolf werewolves. That's literally what it means.
This just in, everybody. Bulletin. Dearest roommate is French Canadian.
Can he tell us about the Loup Garou of French Canada?
Well, he sends me Archange is archangel. It's pronounced arc. So her name was Archange.
Okay. So yeah, archangel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
And that would make sense with French Canadian to make that a k.
Mm-hmm.
Parisians would probably say Archange, but who cares about them? They're so modern. Yeah. They're so modern.
Thank you, any Parisian listeners that we have.
Oh, so I wonder if Archange is the name that still exists in like French Canada, because they're actually more Catholic leaning than France. which is
Yeah.
fun. Which is why you have swear words like tabarnak. My apologies to our French Canadian speaking listeners for my foul language.
My not apologies. You know what you did. Anyway, I had to throw that in because we have an expert.
Yeah, that's
We have an
great.
expert now. Look at help.
Yeah. So we were right. It is Archangel.
I know
Archangel. I mean,
it
it
is.
looks. That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
So yeah, back to
Anyway,
well, actually, no, we're moving away from French now because Garou, or Gerulf comes from the Frankish word werewolf. Because French does not have a W sound like Germanic languages do.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so when the Franks invaded France, hence the name France, they were Germanic speakers. So the native French speakers, old French speakers, tried to
Mhm.
imitate the Germanic Frankish conquerors w with
Okay.
a gw sound,
Okay.
which is why Guillaume is Guillaume and not William
Oh, okay.
or Wilhelm as it would have
Yeah.
been. So Garulf is werewolf. So werewolf became Garulf, Garou, Loup Garou.
Okay. Sweet.
So yeah, they took like the French word and then the Frankish word, and we get wolf werewolves. They're very wolfish,
Just super wolf.
super wolfy,
Little bit of person, super wolf.
but they wear people clothes and have top hats and canes and are
They
dapper,
can,
very
yeah.
dapper.
Yeah.
They
Why
just
not?
also eat people. You know, it's cool. It's fine.
Whatever. We like vampires too. Like whatever.
True. Very true.
Okay. So what exactly is a Loup Garou? Is it just a werewolf? Is it something unique? For starters, yes, those of you who are wondering, the Loup Garou is related to Louisiana's Rougarou. Per the National Wildlife Federation, yes, really. The Rougarou, or Loup Garou, is a monster from Cajun folklore. In the legend, this beast is often described as having the body of a man and the head of a wolf or a dog and prowls Louisiana swamps looking for misbehaving children. The stories were most likely inspired by European stories of werewolves that the Cajun people brought with them as they migrated to Louisiana. Feels familiar.
A little bit. Loup Garou are a big part of French history, believe it or not. In France, there were several werewolf trials from around 1520 to 1630.
Oh, yeah.
These were very similar to the witch trials that we think of, but the accused were believed to have turned themselves into wolves to do their crimes rather than just be witchy.
Mm-hmm.
In 1598, there was the case of Nicolas Damont, aka the Werewolf of Chalon, who was accused of child murder and cannibalism. A little before him was Gilles Garnier, or the Werewolf of Dole, who was accused of basically the same crimes. What was France also up to at this time besides accusing its neighbors of being werewolves?
Colonizing the Americas, which includes what is now Michigan. So, hence our Loup Garou stories that we shared with you at the top of the episode. In North America, the Loup Garou beliefs blended with Native American folklore, making our Loup Garou distinct. The Canadian Encyclopedia says, quote, a Loup Garou is generally believed to be a person who can change into animal form, often as a wolf, but not always. In French Canadian folklore, the Loup Garou is often a dog. It may also take the form.
She felt summoned. Summoned by the word dog.
It may also take the form of a calf or small ox, a pig, a cat, or even an owl.
As shown in Hamlin's story, a Loup Garou is often a bad Christian. In order to become one, you can find yourself a witch broker and sell your soul to the devil. You could also ignore Lent for 7 consecutive years. Or, perhaps more easily, just don't go to confession during Easter.
Super easy.
Yeah, why am I not a Loup Garou? Maybe I have to become Catholic first. Maybe that matters.
Yes, I have a feeling that it does.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like more work than finding a swamp witch.
Uh,
But
yeah, I think that we could find a swamp witch pretty easy, actually.
yeah. I
Like
mean,
we live
I
in
could be a
Michigan.
bog witch. I grew up near a bog. I'm
Yeah.
a witch.
No, I think
I
I think that'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, because I've definitely ignored Lent for more than 7 years, and I've never done confession because I
I
didn't grow
think
up in
those
a
are
faith that has confession.
right. So I think those are specifically Catholic werewolves. If you want to become a Catholic werewolf, that's what you
Yeah,
have to do.
maybe Catholics are particularly susceptible to lycanthropy.
Oh my god. That explains Aaron.
Whoa,
Dun dun dun.
plot twist.
Depending on the story, the Loup Garou may only be cursed with his wolfish abilities for 101 days. In that time, he will turn into a Loup Garou every night. That sounds exhausting and like it sucks.
Yeah, really exhausting.
If he can pass the curse on to another, then he will also be cured. A Loup Garou will turn back to his human form if he is made to bleed. He doesn't have to be killed for this to happen. It's said that a Loup Garou is nearly impossible to kill anyway.
I mean, that silver coin didn't do it. It just cut off his tail,
I know, that's wild.
which is like a very precise shot. Get the
That's
tail.
right. To like miss, but still do that.
Yeah,
Talent.
it's a very precise shot. So what I find so interesting about the Loup Garou or Loup Garou for the ladies
Thank you.
is that it's often described as being a dog. It might have the head of a dog or the body of a human, as the rougarou is said to have, or as in French Canada, it might straight up just be a dog. Although I imagine it must be a particularly large or mean or perhaps mischievous dog. Otherwise, how do you know it's a loup-garou? Like, what gives that away? You know?
I don't know. Have you ever met Chihuahuas?
I mean, yeah. Are they mischievous? They're
God, yes.
vicious. They're definitely vicious.
As someone who owned one, yeah.
Yeah, I had one repeatedly try to go after my bike. I would take my bike, rode my bike to work, and there was a little chihuahua, and whenever it was out, it would chase me.
Yeah, they hate wheels for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
They hate it, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure. Although, it would be absolutely hilarious to see this little, like, pug. Just, like, some dude, like, transform into a pug.
Yes.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't specify.
It does not.
Just straight up a dog. I couldn't tell you what dogs they would have had 300 years ago in French Canada.
I mean, frankly, most of the dogs that we have now, they would have had like a Bouvier de Flanders makes a lot of sense because it's large. A lot of times it's gray and shaggy. It's a herding dog, but
Okay.
it's still big. It's still, it's still very much like in the, I don't know, the wolfness of a dog. It's not so far removed from that as like a pug.
Right.
It would be really funny to see a Papillon too. Or like a Commodore, which are the ones with the or is that a Poolie with the dreadlocks? That would be pretty funny.
Yeah, these could be secret loup-garous.
I know a lot about dogs. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, it's this dog part that stuck out to me because isn't Michigan famous for a canine cryptid already?
What? We absolutely are. In fact, we talked about the Michigan Dogman back in 2021. He has his own episode. So if you'd like to know in detail about that guy, go back to there.
Yeah, because we don't have enough time to explain all of that here, to be honest. So I did loup-garous after.
Well,
and the Michigan Dogman's way better known.
Yeah,
than the
well,
loup-garous.
and we found out that like it's not just the Dogman of like northern Michigan. There's we have a whole host of werewolves here in Michigan.
Of wolfman creatures.
Yeah.
So yeah, that led me to two questions. One, could the Michigan Dogman be a loup-garou? Just that's what we call him in English. And if so, is that why he's so elusive? Because he transforms.
I'm gonna go yes. Just yes. Okay, but so yeah, the Michigan Dogman in my mind is absolutely a Loup Garou. Um, about the transformation thing, then though, like, does that make that one person immortal, or is it like the passing on, like you have to
Yeah.
fight someone else to become cured, kind of thing?
Yeah, because that is built into the Loup Garou legend.
Right,
So that could be why we have all of these dogmen, so to speak,
right.
wandering around and going down through the centuries. That he's just
Yeah, and
passing
the
on the
ability,
curse.
like Michigan's not, the biggest state, but it'd still be a lot for one Loup Garou to travel all over to get all of these sightings from top
Oh,
to
yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
Um,
Unless he drives, which I doubt.
he might now.
That's true, he might now, modern day. But, yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
these Loup Garou stories go back in the Americas to, like, the 1600s.
right, to
So,
the beginning of the
yeah, was
European settlers.
yeah, the French came over, they brought Loup Garou with them.
Mm,
And now we have the Michigan Dogman.
right?
So,
Do you know if there's any like Ojibwa legends about dogs, wolves?
dog people. Not that I've found. It is occasionally very hard to find these things. And
It's
like
really hard, yeah.
and when it comes from like I'm just gonna say a white source, like a white
Yeah.
people source, it's questionable to me
Mhm.
because they often draw their own conclusions.
Yes.
Um, but I would love to talk to someone actually from one of the tribes in the community and ask them because they do say, "Oh, the Loup Garou mixed with native culture, American cultures,
Yeah.
and that's why it's different from the original French culture,
Mhm.
and that's why different regions of the Americas have different versions, so to speak, of the Loup Garou, but it doesn't say what those are."
Right.
So,
Yeah, I need we okay, like okay. Well, okay, website or book, go into that part.
yeah,
Do that.
because like, specifically the French Canadian Loup Garou, it says it could be an owl or a cat, it could be anything
Yeah.
that other than a dog.
Right.
So where does that come from? Because that came from somewhere, and that place was not France.
Right. And that's a very like witch-like thing too, right?
It
Like
is.
you can transform into a cat or yeah, any
Mhm.
number of these things. Yeah. I mean, hell, it's a vampire thing too because if
True.
you go far enough back, those are the same creature.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I want to know the indigenous side. Like is there any legends what legends got mixed with that
Mhm.
um to become this Loup Garou? Like
Right.
I don't know, man. I would like those, please.
And there's such because like, I mean, French Canada did include Michigan at one point, but, like, Quebec right now is pretty far away from us.
Yeah.
So that's a big distance. So we're talking, like, multiple tribes and
Right.
multiple traditions, and
Yeah.
obviously Louisiana even further, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's potentially a lot of overlap, and I would really love to pursue that, and I don't know how.
I mean, the Louisiana part, we can ask Rose Sinister if she knows anything.
Yeah,
We can at least get that part, but
true.
yeah, if you're native and you know anything about this stuff, please
Yeah,
tell
if you
me what
have
we want.
any
Like,
kind of similar stories.
yeah, or if you just have like super trustworthy sources, we'll take that too. You don't necessarily have to be like,
Right.
well, I heard. You could just be like, this book is really good and scholarly, and we'll be like, okay, thanks, we'll read it.
Yep. And even if someone had a source in French, I would figure it out.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
Like that's a language I could do. It would definitely take me some work. But it's a language that I would be willing to
You can
translate
at
on my
least
own if I
sit
had to.
there and figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Loup Garou's the predecessor, perhaps, possibly, probably,
I didn't
of the Dogman.
yeah. I didn't quite realize that we just got them all over the place, huh?
Yeah.
They're just all over the place.
Well, a lot of the French culture,
Yeah.
I guess, that existed in Michigan is kind of gone. We sort of lost it when we became part of the US, actually,
Yeah.
is kind of when we started losing it. Which is why Hamlin wrote her book. because she
Right.
felt like the French ancestry and culture in Detroit was dying, and it was. English at around that time was taking over French as the dominant language in Detroit. Again, late 1800s, kind of cool.
Mhm.
And like no one thinks of that. No one thinks, "Oh yeah, 150 years ago French was the dominant language in Detroit."
Yeah.
Because that it seems unthinkable, but no, it's just history, man.
No, it does. It feels like
Just how it went.
we kept all the names, and
Yeah,
then we did everything else get out. Thank you.
yeah. It feels that French history seems so much further away than it actually was.
Right. Because unless you unless I like coming into this fresh, say in like 2010, 2011 when I first got here,
Mhm.
um I you wouldn't I wouldn't I would recognize the French names because I took French in high school, but
Mhm.
otherwise I don't see any remnants of anything. Anything
Yeah, just in yeah,
French.
basically in the names.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, I would say this region of Michigan is highly German in my
Yeah.
experiences. A lot of
Yeah.
German immigrants, but they were later immigrants, so
Right. And I guess the all the French bits got swallowed up, but we kept the names because they were already there and screw it.
yeah, kinda.
Oh, that makes
But
me a little
yeah.
sad actually.
Grosse Pointe obviously still remembers at least one of these Loup Garous because if you go to their I don't know if it's a city website or the Historical Society's website, it does give you the story of and her Archange and her Loup Garou suitor. That was the end of her, I suppose.
Yeah.
Unless it turned into like a Beauty and the Beast kind of thing, and we're
Maybe
just
they
getting
lived
like
happily ever after,
yeah,
okay?
we're getting like Gaston's version or something. I don't know.
We're just getting Gaston's version.
Because it is a kind of Beauty and the Beast
It
story,
is.
which Beauty and the Beast, not necessarily that particular fairy tale, but that idea goes back countless centuries.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's just another monster romance.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
I love it. I love all of this. Yeah. So Grosse Point, what's up with you and having all these werewolves, huh? What'd you
Yeah.
do?
I feel like if I were gonna write a modern werewolf story, I'd be very tempted at least to set it in Grosse Pointe.
Would be set in Grosse Point.
Would fit right in.
All right. I think that finishes up another episode. I'm so glad that we have like all of these werewolves running around
Yeah,
in our fair state.
love it.
If you are a werewolf, just kidding. No, if you are a werewolf, contact us. That's incredible.
No, absolutely. I want to hear your story. Come on.
Tell us your story. We don't have to share it. We just want to know. So don't forget that Haunted Mitten is on Patreon. $1 a month gets you access to the private Haunted Mitten Discord server, which is rockin', as well as exclusive Patreon content, including a growing collection of live presentations. And if you do pay us $3 a month, you can see our beautiful faces every other week, almost every other week.
Yep.
Check us out at hauntedmitten.com, which horribly needs an update. And it also
We're working
includes
on it.
a link to our merch store and a list of upcoming events. So at the moment, our first event is Chicago Steam in May in Chicago, if
Woohoo.
that's not obvious to you.
Yep. Come check us out. Haunted Mitten Road Trip. Keep up with us on Facebook, Instagram, and occasionally Twitter.
Sometimes if you want to watch me troll Alec Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene,
You have fun with that.
the list grows.
Oh my goodness.
I do have fun with that.
And that is at Haunted Mitten. Pretty much if you're on a social media, just see if there's an at Haunted Mitten.
Yeah,
We're on Blue Sky too. I don't know how active that one is.
not at all.
Yeah. I need to look. This is why I need to look into IFT. See if I can get some widgets and just
You should
auto
do that.
post for me.
Absolutely.
You can find me in the same places at Krista K. Coburn. I am on Blue Sky. I'm trying to get better about updating. And Kay is at K Gray Writes. If you have a spooky story that you would like to share with or without werewolves, or just just want to reach out, please email us at contacthauntedmitten@gmail.com. And don't forget, any books we mentioned on the show are available for purchase at bookshop.org/shop/hauntedmitten.
Speaking of books,
Yeah.
we're tired of hearing about it. We're not tired of talking about it. We have our own book out now. Ypsilanti Ghosts and Legends. It's got everything from Ypsilanti Ghosts and Ypsilanti Legends. It's available
So
pretty
many.
much.
So
It's
many.
available pretty much wherever books are sold, though you may have to special order it from your local bookstore if you don't live in the Ypsi or Ann Arbor area, just because it's not, it's kind of niche.
Yeah. My family tried Barnes and Noble, I think Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, and they didn't have it, which I'm a little disappointed in Grand Rapids just because I feel like they represent all of Michigan. It's our second largest city.
Nope, you
Nope,
don't get it.
it's not there. Nope. They got it for Christmas though, because I gave it to them.
However, we created a handy dandy link to help you find online bookstores to order from. It is books2read.com/Ipsy Ghosts. Books, the number 2, read.com/YPSI Ghosts. I'm spelling it out because in my circle outside of Ypsilanti can spell it.
Yeah, people get easily confused and forget because
There's a Y.
yeah, it sounds easy to spell, but there's a secret Y in it, just like my name.
And if you're some people who send me Christmas cards, it's got 2 Y's in it.
Excellent. I'm a fan of the Y.
We should just replace
Little
all of
bias.
we'll replace all of the vowels in it with Y's.
Okay.
That sounds great.
I'm like, I'm down.
New petition.
This is why we adopted the Y into English in the first place.
Ypsilanti. Love it. All right, y'all. And as always, happy haunting.
We're back here to talk to you about Lynn B Designs. Not only do they have the best nail polish to rival even those most expensive nail polishes you see on Instagram, but they have stickers, wax melts, shirts, everything cute and adorable and definitely ready for this fall season. So be sure to check out this vegan, cruelty-free brand. You will love them as much as we do. Check out Lynn B Designs monthly sales. They are fantastic. I am going to go look at some right now. Thanks.